was a question I was thinking about a few minutes ago was when you were talking about how you were out in line with or you're talking to the different Pretty Much fans that are enjoying or waiting for the concert to happen. They're like, oh, like Claudia, can you do this and blah 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 for me? But at the same time, I can imagine those same fans, or let's say maybe in Olivia's case, someone who worked, was with Smilers and then now works with Miley.
Yeah.
There could naturally so be a little bit of jealousy or distaste towards that person who has kind of crossed over in that realm. And you have an Instagram post that says like treat people with kindness, and it's clear that you can do that, and that's probably part of the reason why you've been able to move up so quickly because
Yeah.
so like how the fan world, as we all know, can get pretty dramatic no matter which genre you're talking about, especially if you are kind of getting ahead and people are not. But how do you combat those kinds of possible negativities for those who are listening?
Um, Growing up, I genuinely thought I was going to work with One Direction. So
Mm-hmm.
I did everything I could
Mm.
to make sure that I didn't ever post anything that could bite me in the ass.
Ooh.
So I always led with, like, as cringy as some of my posts may be now, I always tried to either be nice, be likable, be well receptive in the fandom. And granted, that didn't always happen. There was definitely fandom drama. It would be impossible for there not to be.
Exactly.
And, I was also young and on the internet, like all over the place. But it, how do I say this? If you want to work with an artist and if you don't think that they're going to look at whatever you've ever said about them,
Ooh.
my job didn't ever say that that happened, but imagine they did. Imagine you're an Ariana Grande fan. You're getting the chance to work with her and they look up your fan posts. Would they like you after they look them up?
Hmm.
And if the answer is no, you might want to rethink about how you're presenting yourself on the internet.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. Okay. And that kind of brings me to something kind of interesting here. I'm in Seoul, and I know you're a little bit familiar with K-pop as well, and you know, uh, K-pop labels aren't as keen to work with fans for a variety of different reasons. Some have been able to do such things, or it's in a similar way have been fans of other groups, but they end up working, for a different label. So in that respect, but I wonder, like, you know, it's interesting, or it's just interesting, I guess, kind of thinking about the differences, like West, where here with K-pop, it's more frowned upon to be outwardly like so, like even if you're saying like I'm a huge like Blackpink fan, but like, or Blink, I should say, you kind of keep that to yourself until you've established rapport, which I guess everybody kind of does as well. But
Yeah.
Pretty Much did work with NCT Dream a couple of years ago. What was it like working with SM and communicating with them? And then on top of that, maybe receiving some attention or seeing Pretty Much as attention from in citizens during that time.
I didn't work too closely with the NCT Dream team,
Okay,
just because we're pretty much we act as their management company, and that was also through their label at the time.
got it.
However, I was very excited that we did have a K-pop group collab because I was so curious to see how they would respond to it. Because
Mm,
K-pop is an area, is a sector of fandom that I'm not a part of, and that
mm,
I've only been able to watch from afar and watch with awe because I think it's incredible the things that those K-pop fans are able to do
mm.
and like do for their artists. But I was really excited to see the reception to it all and see how like if it traveled differently than other songs did, and it did.
Interesting.
And on top of that, we also just got the guys on Weverse, and
Ah,
Weverse,
yeah.
yes, yes, so pretty much are on Weverse, and the Weverse team has been unbelievably helpful,
Really?
so organized, so kind, so excited, like so helpful, and like they apologize constantly that everything's in Korean.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm where I am trying to like figure this out. Like there was one time I had to like post something and they had to send me everything like translated, but they really they go the extra mile to like make it as easy for us to work with them, which is so cool and so sweet because like they're just so patient with it all. And I
Mm,
think it's because they know that it's an important conversation to have a Western artist on a K-pop platform. Also, like we're not here to take any names. We're here to like see what's going on, see how the fans are doing over there, and just kind of facilitate to them. So yeah, it's been really cool. I do hope one day to kind of work closer with a K-pop management team, just out of curiosity. I did see BTS at the Rose Bowl though, so
Oh, you went to that.
I did. I had friends that were in town, One Direction friends that were in town, and they were like, "You should come." And I just bought like a random ticket, and then when I just sat in their section with them, I like squeezed in,
Oh,
and
nice.
that was crazy. They didn't have an opening act. It was just
No.
their music videos and the 3 hour show, and I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what?"
Yeah. K-pop acts normally, it's interesting. They don't, I'm thinking about it. Maybe solo artists will have like a DJ that just kind of like playing for the crowd, but normally they just, like you're saying, do the music videos and then they just go like straight into it. And the fans are just they're satisfied with just like shouting at the music videos together before the concert starts, which is awesome.
Yeah. I felt the energy in the room, which
Mm-hmm.
was so nice. And then all the little like bubble wands that they had. I'm sorry if I'm
Bubble
those ones.
wand lights. I'm actually, that should be what it's called, a bubble wand light stick. But that's amazing. I love that.
Okay,
Bubble
yes.
wand.
That was crazy too. I was like, every one of you has this.
Oh, mm.
Every one of you bought this, but like every single one. And then like, and then you're gonna take it to other shows. I just thought that was so cool. I was like,
Yeah.
a universal merch item that not only is like for everybody to have at once, but also you can use it more than once. And that's pretty rare that you can, I don't know, like let's say Taylor Swift has like those like wristbands that like light up at the show, but I'm sure they differ like per show, per venue. And then what? And it's also just like a plain white wristband. BTS, they were like, no, you gotta take this home, you gotta use it, and you gotta bring it back. Because
Yep.
they know that you're gonna come back.
Yep. And it's honestly like an investment for fans. A lot of fans do think that if you don't have like that is kind of a show of like, I am a fan of this group. There is a group called Day 6 that does have a light up wristband, and it's like a little plastic thing, and it has like Bluetooth and stuff like that. And they have, of course, like the one that you saw, the light stick. It's changed over the years. Like there's different versions and different, of course, Bluetooth capability. Anyway, so and as you saw probably there, it syncs like with the whole crowd, which is that's
Oh, cool.
incredible as too. Yeah. Speaking of concerts, though, we VenewLive is an online concert company. Pretty much and Boys World, you guys have done concerts through Moment House. And I would love to know what were those experiences like for you. And what are your thoughts on the online music or concert live streaming space?
I I don't think that it could ever actually replace live shows,
Mm-hmm.
but I do love that fans are like if you're not able to attend a show, that you could also live stream it.
Yeah.
I remember like One Direction fans would be like in the nosebleed live streaming their concert for like fans that weren't able to be at the show. And it was like hundreds of people would be on the live stream, and it was shitty iPhone quality, terrible iPhone quality, and people would still be tuning in and watching. And so with Moment House kind of like providing this space during a time where there wasn't a space to have a show,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really cool, really clean. I love the moment has ended that shows up at the end of the live stream. I'm like, oh yeah, the moment is gone, but you see the chat go off, and the chat that before the show, fans are like, where's everybody from? What's everybody doing? Who's excited? La la la. And they're all just like talking about like, oh, I hope they do this song. I hope they do that song. Oh, I'm wearing my merch. Is anybody doing this? And then during the show, you see everybody going off at the same time. Like the chat just is running. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know how you can stop to read it all, but I know the excitement sitting on the other side of the computer and being like, typing away furiously, like just out of pure happiness. And then it ends, and it's people are exchanging their Instagram handles. People are saying follow me on Twitter. People are saying join the WhatsApp group. Like the chat didn't die after the show did. And I love that Moment House had that because it provided a space where fans could like still communicate with each other after the show, as you normally do after a show. Like you sit down, like you're leaving, everybody's like worn out, and people are like in the parking lots blasting the music, talking about it. But
Go to dinner with each other afterwards sometimes. It's like this like
yeah,
community thing. Yeah.
a whole event, like
Yeah.
a concert. When you go to a concert for your favorite artist, that is a 48-hour event, even if it's like one show. You got to prep the day before. The whole day you're thinking about it. You're with your friends. You're tweeting. You're showing up to the venue early. You're trying to suss out if you can see anybody. There's people screaming on the other side of the parking lot, and you're like, "What's going on?" As if
Yes.
like one of the members is just like casually parking in like the stadium parking lot or whatever. And I just I love all that. Everyone's like running around. Do you get your merch now or later? We don't want to keep
Yeah.
it all day. It's like, oh, but the lines are gonna be too long afterwards. You like meet fans in line. Hey, can you get me that shirt? Like, da, 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 like,
Yes. Oh my God. It's literally
yeah.
a full, like, honestly, I mean, of course, it's amazing to work in the industry and things like that. But I just remember even in my, like, more fan present days, those are just the most exhilarating, like, fun times, even like camping out and stuff. Like, I don't think I'll ever do it again, but it's like so much fun. And like, you're, that reminds me, the one time I saw One Direction in concert, they were staying in Atlanta, or it was in Atlanta, and they were at the Ritz Carlton. Of course, like, everyone was like trying to figure out, are they at this hotel or at this hotel? And at the time, they speculated they were at this one hotel, and the tour bus was out in the front of the parking lot. And they were like, oh, there's this band called 5 Seconds of Summer in there. And I was like, who's that? And I was like,
Oh,
I don't care. Literally. And then they found out like they were at the Ritz, and so people were waiting outside, and of course, like, screams happened when like Zayn, and I think I saw Zayn, and I just remember seeing Zayn, but it was just mayhem. But it was so funny just seeing all the personalities, those kinds of things. It's so much fun
my
for
God, waiting
sure.
in line, the friends that you meet,
Hmm.
like I saw the longest I ever waited in line was for One Direction at Wembley. I saw them
Mm.
at Wembley all 3 nights in London. And the longest I waited was 18 hours because
Wow.
they won't let you stay overnight at Wembley. And so
Mm.
we would show up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because it was like, for starters, this is Wembley Stadium, 90,000 people, and they did GA floor. Like I just like
Oh.
all the European tours were GA floor
Oh my
sectioned
God.
out into 4 groups because there was a catwalk in the middle dividing the front 2 groups, and then the back 2 groups are just split. And so like the catwalk is massive. So we know that we didn't have to be at the very, very front of the line. We just have to be like at the beginning of the line.
Right.
And my God, we waited for so long. I survived off of like the cookies my hotel provided, cold McDonald's, sat on like a wet traffic cone for a hot minute. Like, people were bringing their like sleeping bags. They were bringing like fold out chairs, and I never brought any of that because what do you do with it afterwards? I'm in London. My mom's not going to come pick me up, so like I just have to be ready to like come and go as I arrived, with the exception of like whatever merch I get. And I
Yeah.
just 3 nights in a row, literally, like we would leave. I would get back to the hotel at 12 o'clock. I would shower, have like a 2, 3 hour nap, and then wake up and go back to the venue.
God. Those are
And I was
fun.
boobs to barrier. I have to say, I was boobs to barrier, front of the line at the very beginning. Like, don't think I waited 18 hours and did not get very front row. 2 nights out of the 3, I was in the very, very front.
She said boobs to barrier. Oh my God. That's so funny. Okay, I'm gonna use that now. I literally like, oh yeah, those were fun times, but also stressful because like everybody wants that exact same spot, and you're like, we work into like you're in front of me, you're behind me, like we're not getting this
And
confused.
everyone's friends until security's like, gates are going to be opening in 20 minutes. And then it's
Yes.
like, I don't get out of my way. I don't even know you. Elbows being thrown. People are tripping. Ah,
Oh, it's so funny. That's
and then it's just, I don't know. I was gonna say because it's at Wembley. Then
yeah.
when there was the Euro Cup and all these grown men were doing that when England was playing Italy, or I'm sorry if I'm wrong here, football, soccer folks, but I saw. Don't think I didn't see the pictures. Men were hopping the gate to get into Wembley Stadium, and I'm like, I've seen that before. I
Like,
we are not different.
you are not anything above, okay?
Uh-uh.
That is so funny. Wow. I literally am like thinking back all my fan stories. And I just want to like, and I'm like, I want to just do a podcast of just only fan crazy, like just outlandish stories. But we are
They're the
limited of time.
best.
Yes, they are really
Thinking
are.
back, and I'm like, what was I doing? Who was I? But then I was like, you know what? I was happy, and I still am
Exactly.
happy. Not to say that I'm not anymore, but time of my life,
For
time of
sure.
my life.
Yes. Oh yeah. I was gonna say this is the time. Yeah. Good reference and good way to I feel like closing off. I want to ask you one more question. As you continue to build your career in this industry, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or where do you want to see yourself?
You know, I could have never. ever imagined my path to getting here today. And I've always said, whenever anybody asks me this, where do I want to be in 5 years? I just want to be happy. So like that is, I think that's what's helped me get to where I am today, is that I didn't have any expectations of where my career was going to go, nor did I have a name for it up until literally 2 years ago. So I I do see myself kind of being, I don't know, maybe like a fan mentor to people, where I could be at a point where I could teach fans how to be industry professionals and help fans kind of gain those connections and like have workshops and stuff like that, to kind of help out. I want to see my artists succeed. I want to see myself succeed, and I would love if in 5 years I could be Boobs to Barry at another One Direction concert.
Hey, that would be lit. That would be
Yeah.
so lit. Those are amazing ideas. And I feel like a lot of people, at first, you're like, oh, I want to I want to do this, have this position. But I feel like over time, it's just like, yeah, I just want to be happy and fulfilled with what I'm doing. And that's
And if I could tell fans one thing too,
yeah.
if you want to work for a specific artist and you don't have any experience, you need the experience to work for them, which means doing the jobs that aren't working for them. You you just have to have the goal in mind that you want to be good enough to work for the Ariana Grandes, Harry Styles, Shawn Mendes, Justin Bieber's of the world. Those are A-list people that are going to need A-list employees. And the only way you do that is by putting yourself out there, getting lots of gigs, working lots of shows, working lots of marketing calls, like whatever it is that you have to do. All of it is a stepping stone. And the more you do, the better, because then the more understanding you have of the industry as a whole.
Yep.
I gotta say.
Yeah, and that even starts if they're like, okay, how do I get in these jobs that aren't working for them? It starts with, just like you did, like Olivia did, like I did, like you make a fan account and make it as professional as you want it to be, and people will definitely recognize it.
Find local radio stations. They're always at concerts. They're always doing events with artists. They're always having artists stop by the studio. Work at your local venue. Be a ticket taker. You'll have the first access into the venues where the managers are running around. You can make up conversation there. Look for industry events, whether that even be like festivals or concerts that you go to. Look around for the people that are working, and don't ask for anything except for their time, because they're not going to give you a backstage pass. Okay, that happened to me, but that wasn't the point.
Yeah.
That wasn't the point.
Yeah, exactly.
1 in a million. And also I didn't go backstage. However, when One Direction performed at the iHeartRadio Music Festival 2 years later, he got me a One Direction all access pass, so I could be in the back area where One Direction was during iHeartRadio.
Yo.
And he told me, he's like, if I hear anything about a crazy girl in the dressing rooms, you're never working for me again. And I wasn't in the dressing rooms, but I was definitely outside of them.
Claudia, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And all of this being said, I wonder, like, how do you have time for your personal life? And, aside from the internet, is that a difficult balance that you found?
At the beginning of the pandemic, immediately everything fell onto social media. Okay. Like the whole world closed, and the only way that artists could be in touch with anybody was through socials. And my team kind of turned to me and said, what are we going to do? And I had no idea. So I'm really grateful for being able to use my time in the pandemic as a time to learn, because I didn't have a social life. So I was inside, basically, is what I'm saying. Is like I was inside all the time. So I was able to really figure out the nooks and crannies of my job, because it social media took over. So I had to know everything. And now coming out of it, I feel like I'm confident in my work now, where I know what I have to do to then separate and have my free time. Like I'm going to Lollapalooza tomorrow. I'm going to be able to like be out and about. I'm so excited. But like my team knows that I'm going to be out, but everything's already set and good to go. Like for socials, it's like I don't have to worry about like, are they going to be able to handle it? I know they will. And when I come back and I'm doing events, I'm going to shows, I'm doing my thing, it's like I know what I need to do in order to have that free time. Whereas before, being freelance and working jobs that I didn't want to be doing and not knowing and not feeling confident in my work, I was just always anxious about it.
Yep.
But clear communication with your team. I also just have a great team in general. I love them. And yeah, I think a big part of it is just being confident in your work.
Yeah.
If you're constantly stressing about it, you're never going to be able to step away from it.
Right. You just saying you're going to Lollapalooza tomorrow, I was just, wow. Like the fact that we can't do anything here in Korea. I'm like, to go to Lollapalooza, Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it. And guess who's performing at Lollapalooza?
Harry Styles.
Brockhampton.
Oh, Brockhampton. I was listening to Sugar on repeat last night. I love that song. It's
yes,
so
that
good.
was. I would say they were my comfort artists during the pandemic, and so to come out of it, and it's also like the only U.S. festival that they're doing. I'm like, I'm on my way.
Lit. Well, I hope you have an amazing time. I can't wait to see updates on social media. By the way, where can people find you on social media?
I pre-planned this for myself when I was growing up. All of my social media handles are Claudia with 2 A's at the end, 81. So Claudia 81. It's my, I almost said YouTube as if I have a YouTube channel. I don't. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of the above. That's me.
Nice. Well, and of course, make sure to follow Boys World pretty much. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Dylan Conrique.
Dylan Conrique as well. Yes. Thank you so much again, Claudia. Really, really thank you. Thank you for listening to this first chapter of Revolutionize the Stage, where we focus on fans turning their fandom into something professional. And Claudia, you are the epitome of doing that. And we love all the tidbits you gave us. So we really, really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys again for listening. You can keep up with Revolutionize the Stage podcast by subscribing to our YouTube channel, VenewLive's YouTube channel. And you can keep up on our Twitter and Instagrams at Rev the Stage Pod. Thank you guys for listening and see you next time. Thank you, Claudia.
Bye.